Welcome to the Real Man Talk Show. Today we're going to be talking about mental health. Okay, your emotions and your mindset can be the key to your success. I know some may be on their lunch break, some may be just chilling in the car. If you would please share this channel, share this interview. It's going to be an amazing interview in regards to just how mental health therapy can improve your overall well-being, as well as those goals that you're probably trying to attain. And we go pretty much to eliminate some of the myths when it comes to mental health therapy. We'll talk about the benefits of it, and sometimes has just lacking. I've got amazing guests that's coming up. If you know any veterans that may be seeking or looking for mental health, or anyone in general that's been contemplating or considering, I highly recommend sending this to them and have them tune in. It's going to be a quick 30-minute interview. And I'm thankful that this guest is coming on to help, because of what he want to do is he want to help. And he's been constantly helping the community, helping people, as well as has served this country. So if you would, man, share this and let's get into it. I keep telling you I need an administrative assistant because I'm doing so many things back here. But let's get going. Mr. Smith, what's up? What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much, man. I want to thank you, man, for coming on the show, man, to talk about mental health, man. Before we get in there, tell us a little bit about you, man, because I've done research and know a little bit about you in regards to serving our country, and you still actually serving in the capacity of a mental health therapist. Tell us all about you, man, and what people can expect from you as a therapist.
Okay. I am a retired U.S. Marine. Anytime I mention that I'm a Marine and a therapist, of course, I get laughter from individuals who know about Marines. They're like, really? Can a Marine truly show empathy? Yes, there's plenty of videos out there that show that we don't have the capacity. However, I do. I joined the Marine Corps in 1987, right out of high school, man. I was one of those individuals who was very forward thinking when it comes to what am I going to do with my life? And I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't realize, I didn't believe that I had the discipline. So joined the Marine Corps. Plan was just to do 4 years. 21 years later, here I am. I went to Sterling High School, born and raised here in Houston, Texas.
Okay, Sterling.
That's right. The Raiders. I also went to graduate school in the area. I went to the Prairie View A&M University.
Okay, Prairie View. Okay.
That's right. I decided to do this for a number of reasons, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be something you're going to get into, asking me why I chose to do this.
That's actually my first question. Before I go into that question, let me ask you this, because you said you served our country, and once again, thank you so much, man, for pleasure. Serving our country, man. A lot of people don't realize the sacrifice that come with that, and with that sacrifice, veterans, we sacrifice a lot for our family and for our country, and it takes away a lot. And with that being said, also, how many kids do you have? Do you have a family?
Well, I do. They're not children anymore. They're grown folks. So I have 3. I have one that just turned 35 on the 16th. I have one that's 30. He turned 30 on the 6th of August. And I have one that is just turned 21, and she turned 21 on the 21st of August.
Oh, wow. Yes. Congratulations. And also, if I'm correct, you also a full-time father, single parent as well.
Yes, I still have my youngin here, my 21-year-old. She's currently doing college and trying to figure out her place in this world as well.
Interesting, interesting. And I thought I had to highlight that, man, because um, that's something that's not always talked about. You talking about a
Mhm.
Marine, we talking about a single father, and we talking about a therapist. What made you decide to be a therapist, man, as a former Marine? Because you don't really run into Marine therapists. So please explain that to us.
You know, initially I wanted to be an English major in college. And I had very good reason. My high school English teacher was very instrumental in helping me to be focused more. He made English and literature come to life. And I'll say his name. His name was Mr. Cranen. And while serving in Iraq, I realized that there was one thing that wasn't tracked very well, and that was how a lot of the combat veterans were doing after we completed our tour. And they actually gave us the PCL, the PTSD checklist to fill out. I didn't really know what it was then, but it asked a bunch of questions about what you were experiencing. And so, unfortunately, we didn't get good information about why we should answer the questions as accurately as possible. People were told that, hey, look, if you answer yes, man, you're gonna wind up at Walter Reed, or you're not
Right.
going to be able to go home to your families. And so that put fear in people, in those Marines and sailors, not to answer it correctly. And I noticed that there were too many of us that were committing suicide. And one of the reasons why individuals were skeptical, or very apprehensive about seeking mental health is because a lot of veterans didn't feel like regular civilians, regular people would truly understand where they were coming from. So that helped me to change. I actually changed my major from English to psychology after taking an intro to psychology class. And
Wow.
the professor that I took it from, oh my goodness, she made that class come to life. And that's really what started it all.
Interesting, 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 interesting. So let me ask you this, Mr. Smith. Why would someone need a therapist?
We can need or benefit from therapy for many different reasons. A lot of times we just don't know what we don't know about ourselves and the world. When we find ourselves struggling to have the confidence that we need to make decisions, that's when we know that we're probably going to need someone to guide us, someone to at least encourage us to make decisions that would typically benefit our lives.
Interesting, interesting. So let me ask you this to those who's listening. We're talking to Mr. Smith about the benefits of mental health therapy and how sometimes your emotion and mindset can be your key to success. What are some of the
Mhm.
signs and symptoms that someone may be displaying and may not know in regards to they may need to seek a little additional counseling or help? What are some of the signs and symptoms that you have noticed that they may notice, not realize this may be something that's taking me to a dark side or taking me to some place that I'm not used to being.
Mhm. Yes, I specialize in treating anxiety, depression, post traumatic stress. I am trained to treat other symptoms or other diagnoses as well, but we'll speak on anxiety and depression because that seems to be the one thing that a lot of people are struggling with. Of course, the pandemic has caused a great deal more individuals experiencing anxiety and depression. So if you find yourself having a difficult time focusing, a difficult time um, managing your day-to-day activities, because everything seems to be going super fast. If you find yourself worrying excessively, if you find yourself having difficulties managing your moods, you want to be in a room and sleep all the time with the blinds closed, dark. You have very little interest for participating in activities that at one time you may have found fun. And if you're isolating yourself from friends and family, that can be some key information or symptoms that might alert you that you could be experiencing anxiety, depression, um, and maybe even post-traumatic stress if you've had an experience that was either life-threatening or you perceived it to be something that was life-threatening.
I'm glad you mentioned, Mr. Smith, the anxiety and depression. And I talked to quite a few people, and sometimes when they tell me some of the reactions that they're having, it tends to be anxiety. Can you explain some of those signs and symptoms to those who may not know what anxiety looks like?
Anxiety is our response to intense stress. So if you find yourself having like irregular heartbeats or rapid heartbeat, or you find yourself having nervous type feelings about things that you would typically be able to handle in what we might consider an average situation, that can resemble what an anxiety experience is like. And excessive worry. We can have a thought about something that, well, for example, have a thought about maybe a promotion that you are trying to get at work, and you know that you've done everything that you need to do to qualify for this promotion, but you're worrying about everything that you cannot control. Things like, I wonder if there are other candidates. I wonder if these other candidates are more qualified than me, so on and so forth. When you find yourself worrying excessively about these things, then that can be something that can alert you that there's a problem. We lost audio.
Sorry. To those who's
Uh-oh.
watching, once again, we're here with Roderick Smith, who's a retired veteran, but he's now a mental health counselor that's helping many. And to those that's watching, yes, you are more than welcome to share. That's the purpose of this. I want to get this information out. As Mr. Smith stated, a lot of people suffer from anxiety and depression. That's what he specializes in. Um, Mr. Smith, what about those who may say, I don't have any childhood trauma, haven't been molested, my childhood was excellent. Why do I need a mental health therapist? Why do I need to seek counseling? What would you say to those who may have went up that road and may not experience anything? I may not thought it was traumatic. What would you say to those?
Well, we're not going to always have the the typical experience that you would say that someone would definitely need therapy. I need a counselor. Not everyone has those traumas. Not everyone has those experiences, but there can be other experiences that disrupt your way of life. If it disrupts your way of life in a significant way, makes it difficult for you to live your best life, maybe speaking to a therapist about your experiences could help you to become unstuck. When I say stuck, that means you're not moving forward with being able to make, good decisions.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Um, interested. So let me ask you this, because we know there's more than 28 million people that's uninsured, and
Mm.
because of that, they're not able to attain counseling. What would you say to those who don't have insurance and can't afford therapy? How would you tell them how to approach that?
One of the easiest ways to do that is something that I do all the time when I'm needing information. Google it. Hey, when you serious, someone asked me that question not too long ago. They was like, "Man, I can't afford therapy." So it's like, well, hold on. There are so many different um, companies and so many different insurance companies and businesses that will offer assistance. If you have a job, you may want to go to your human resource department and find out if they offer what's called EAP, Employee Assistance Program. Most of the EAP programs will pay for 3 to 6 therapy appointments. And you're most likely going to get someone who is a solution focused type therapist, meaning they're not going to spend a lot of time digging into your childhood. They're going to try to help you come up with a solution. And then you have other places like the Harris Center that offers sliding scale and sometimes free services. Um, so my best advice, like I said before, Google it. I used to work for a place called Legacy Community Health. They will allow you to pay based on what you can afford. And sometimes you can get your services for free.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
these places exist, man. These places exist where you can, um, get help when you don't have the ability to actually pay.
So, and I hope you all listening. He didn't dropped a lot of value and a lot of good advice in regards to those who may be in that situation. Even those that's not in the situation, he's dropping a lot of value. How this can help you with your mindset as well as if you're trying to attain those goals. Mental health therapy is not always about trauma related. And because it's not always about trauma related, sometimes we don't get a chance to tap into that inner spirit or that inner things within ourselves. Mr. Smith, what would you say about those who seeking to probably go to that next level and they're not realizing it could be some things within their day-to-day lives that's stopping them from attaining them goals? Let's talk about that aspect of mental health, because sometimes I think we focus on a negative aspect of mental health, but there's a lot of positive aspects that come from it. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Just like you said, not every therapeutic intervention is about trauma or is about depression. We also, I say we at R. Smith Counseling, we provide services for career counseling as well. Sometimes you are looking at taking that step forward in your job and you just don't know how to present yourself as a marketable tool to that particular company. I can give you some direction on how to go about that. Um, Really, it's about trying to help this person to become what we call self-actualized, confident in themselves to make decisions that, hey, they probably could made if they had the confidence to do so.
Interesting. Also, to those that's watching, because I'm doing a series, and those that's interested in being interviewed, hit me up. But I'm doing two series. One series I'm doing is what does marriage mean to you? Interviewing a variety of couples, different ethnicities, to get a better understanding and knowledge of how people view marriage. Also, I'm doing another series on fathers fighting for custody. Stay tuned, because I will have Attorney Bowen on that will be talking about that, because there's a lot of men that's fighting to be a part of their kids' lives that's having challenges with that. But I want to ask you, Mr. Smith, I hear this quite often. I'm having marital issues. There's nothing wrong with me. It's him or it's her. What would you say to those who's possibly having marital issues and don't think the issue may not be them or it may be the other person? How would counseling and therapy benefit them?
Hey, I hear those same statements, man. Hey, can you fix my partner? You know, something's wrong with her or something's wrong with him. One of the approaches that I make sure that any of my clients understand about me is that I'm not trying to fix your partner. What I would be instrumental in doing is helping you both to realize that it takes two to make an effective conversation. It takes two to make for the kind of relationship that you both are looking for. So I'm definitely a challenger. I'll challenge that person that wants to point the finger at their partner and say, hey, look, what are you doing that will help your relationship to be its best? What are you doing?
I like that. And I would tell you, man, I tell everyone, I've been seeking therapy ever since I left the military. Matter of fact, before I even left the military. And sometimes, man, you don't realize there's other things that can stop you from attaining certain levels. And I would tell you, since I've been seeking therapy, man, it has definitely increased my marriage, increased my business, increased my relationships with people. Also, has actually increased, who I establish relationships with as well. Because sometimes we can tend to go towards, what we're used to or what we're comfortable with. So therapy has really opened my eyes up, an aspect of that. When I look back, it was a lot of things that I would say, ignorant to, and I didn't realize how beneficial counseling can be. So I highly encourage this. So with that being said, I want to ask you this, brother. What would you say to the veterans that might not have sought therapy or had the best experience while in therapy and be like, I'm done with this? I didn't see many veterans that try to get help, probably didn't get the adequate help, and they like, forget it, this is too much, so I'm done. What would you say to those veterans that's listening to this show that may be contemplating by trying to go back to get some help?
First off, I would say to my brothers and sisters, the battle is not over just because we're no longer in the bad guys' country. We have so many different resources now that we may not have had some time ago, during Vietnam era guys, or even the Desert Storm era guys. The therapy that we have that's available to help us now is so much better. I would say to my veteran brothers and sisters to hang in there. Don't give up, because you didn't give up back then. So don't give up now. We still got it.
Thank you for that. And if you would, I want you to expand on that, because I would tell you, I was in Buffalo, New York, my wife and I, a couple of weeks ago, and I was sharing with a group in regards to what I have witnessed in regards to how mental health has evolved. It's at the point now that you can pretty much customize to who you want to see. For example, in my experience, if you want to see, just say, someone that looks like you or someone that has the same experience as you, you can pretty much customize, and they would try to match you as close as they can with that therapist based off what you just stated, man. And once again, you're a veteran that came back from the war. So coming back from the war and still getting help and now working in this field, what have you noticed over the last, I would say, 10 years that has changed within the mental health therapy industry?
I'll tell you one of the biggest things that I've noticed, and it's actually twofold. One of the things that I've noticed, that there are more African Americans seeking mental health therapy than there used to be in the past. And that is such a blessing, because we definitely can benefit from, the many different interventions that exist so that we can continue to live our, best lives, or begin to live our best lives. And for veterans, the same thing. I can remember when I worked at Riverside General Hospital, when Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee was able to get a grant for us to actually treat veterans from the Vietnam era.
Wow.
And yeah, she did that. She came through for us.
Wow.
And I can remember seeing veterans there having a difficult time with the young therapists that we had available at that time. They were like, what can you tell me? How can I benefit from someone that has never been in combat before, that has never been in the military before? And, unfortunately, they didn't see the value in those individuals right away. But over time, I noticed that there were many more veterans deciding that, maybe I should be a little bit more open-minded about how this stuff works. We can make up in our own minds ideas about what's best going to work for us based on, military culture. But that experience alone helped me to have much more faith and confidence in how veterans are being much more proactive about seeking mental health help.
And I was second that, man. Veterans are, compared to when I was in, we're being more open to mental health. When I was in, that was a big stigma. We're not going on sick call for that. No, you're not going to take away my position. No, you're not going to take away my platoon. So it's completely different. It's now pretty much suggested, yes, you need to go get help. And it's not so much always a bad thing. Let me ask you this, man, from veteran to veteran, what would you say? And you kind of answered, but I want to dig a little bit deeper to those veterans who are scared to get help, or probably don't know how to go about getting help. As well as you talked about the veterans, a two-part question. What would you also say to those spouses that may need help as well? Because let's face it, a lot of these spouses are now becoming caregivers because a lot of our vets are coming back with injuries and illness that need to be taken care of. What would you say to that veteran and their spouse?
Well, first to the veteran, I would say, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. We built a culture within the armed forces, and I'll definitely speak for the Marine Corps, that frowned upon such things as mental health. We looked at it as a weakness, but now we know better. And even if you still are struggling with this particular idea that somehow it's a weakness, I would say to you, there are so many different ways that you can get assistance that is confidential. All of it is confidential. If you don't want to see someone face to face, there are many different platforms where you can call in and actually get mental health assistance as well. So you don't have to even do the video. You can do the phone service. And for that, for that spouse or that family member that could possibly be needing assistance as well, I definitely encourage them to, to seek out and find help from someone that's going to be able to explain to them what their service member is going through, and also speak to them about what they're going through, as it's a thing, and no, you shouldn't be ashamed because you are having difficulties dealing with your veteran who went to war. You weren't there, so how can you truly know exactly how difficult it was for them or why they behave the way that they do? So I definitely encourage that family member, that spouse, to reach out for assistance as well.
You said two things that caught my attention. First of all, you said they don't even have to come in; they can do it via video, or they can call in.
Absolutely, that is the miracle of our emerging technology, brother.
Wow.
That you can do this now. I know plenty of therapists who do virtual therapy sessions, and also sessions over the phone. You have other companies now that are starting to offer therapeutic interventions via phone. And this is so that we can reach people where they are, where they won't have to necessarily feel like I got to go into some stranger's office and have a conversation about my personal stuff. You can do it over the phone in hopes that it may encourage you to go in person. But if it works for you over the phone, I'm not saying you have to go in person. You stick to what works.
So check this out. You all now that's interested, you have no excuse. No excuse. Mr. Smith said you can do it via video, via phone. Hell, if you got a cell phone, you can make that phone call. You don't have to worry about going to an establishment and doing all the work. It don't get no better than that. As well as he has explained the different benefits that's come from just attaining mental health therapy.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to the spouses, are there any organizations or places that you might recommend for them to reach out to? Because let's face it, sometimes the spouses don't know where to reach out to, especially once you leave that military community and you're back in the civilian world. It's almost like you're on an island of your own and don't know where to go. Is there any organization that you recommend them looking into in regards to mental health, if not just therapy alone?
The VA system is very good with how they share different places that you can go to. If you just go to va.gov and go through their search engine on va.gov, sometimes you won't even have to type in anything on the search engine. It will be right on the front page that will give you some guidance on how to go about getting the help that you need. And they will have like group therapy sessions that they know of, and they will also have individual therapy sessions. We also have readjustment centers for counseling throughout the greater Houston area and throughout Texas, period. And there's one more that I want to highlight as well. Go on to Psychology Today. Psychology Today is a very good website where it has individual therapists from all throughout the greater Houston area and beyond. And you can go about customizing, so to speak, as you mentioned, your therapist by just taking your time and typing in what it is that you're looking for. It will try to minimize the number of individuals based on what your criteria is, and you go from there.
Thank you. And I got 2 more questions. If y'all have questions, go on and throw the questions out, and I will see if I can get them answered. I can't promise you because there's only so much that Mr. Smith actually can answer, but you can still put them in there. While they're doing that, let me ask you this, Mr. Smith. How should they go about picking a therapist? And picking a therapist can be somewhat of I ain't gonna say a challenge, but it can be a benefit and a challenge. What should be some of the key factors that people should look at when they're looking for a therapist?
Yes, goodness of fit is very important. You want to be able to establish what we call a therapeutic alliance with your therapist, meaning that you're going to address those things that are affecting you and preventing you from, like I mentioned before, living your best life. So you want to look for someone who will be able to treat the symptoms that you are having issues with. If you're trying to look for someone that looks like you, I don't know of this particular site, but someone actually showed it to me. One of my clients showed me that there is a site that you can go to for people that look like you. I'll promise I'm going to do the research on that and then get back to you with what that website is. But if I know the good people out there, they're probably going to be Googling that anyway.
Yes, sir. As I said, your emotions and mindset can be the key to success. What have been some of the benefits or some of the breakthrough stories that you have witnessed just based off the therapy you have provided for some of your clients?
Oh, man. One of the reasons why I love what I do is because I have an opportunity to see people, reach certain heights that they never thought that they could because of their previous experiences. And so one of my stories about how people have been able to benefit from therapy absolutely has to do with someone becoming free of the debilitating symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. So because I treat PTSD, I made sure to get trained in one of the most effective approaches, which is called EMDR. It's eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing is what it is. It is extremely effective in helping people to overcome those symptoms. And I got to tell you, man, I have yet to have had an experience with someone who wasn't able to benefit significantly from EMDR. And usually the question that I get from them is, man, why is this working? Why does this work? And that question comes up, if you know anything about EMDR and the actual protocol itself, it seems like it could possibly be something that anyone can do. But it's one of those things that, yes, done effectively, that person will experience some significant relief from their symptoms.
It's amazing that you brought that up, because actually I was with my primary care provider yesterday, and she had brought up EMDR. And when I reflected, and when I first did EMDR, which was probably about 12 years ago, it was very effective, as well as I didn't realize I'm still doing EMDR in some of the tools that I utilize. And it is very effective. And some people probably don't even realize what EMDR is, but you may be doing it and unaware of it. But there's different techniques with it, EMDR. And thank you for sharing that, man. That is so powerful. And thank you for sharing the benefits and some of the reviews and testimonials that you have received. What has been the biggest impression that one of your clients probably has stated that you have left on them in regards to helping them with their process?
One of the biggest impressions that one of my clients said that I was able to, have on them was faith.
Wow.
Faith in their future. One of the things that I definitely have a great deal of, happiness in, and that is my faith. And I make sure that I let them know that it's not something that is just individual. This is something that we all have access to. And that person said that to me and literally made me tear up, because I didn't realize that I was having that kind of an effect on them, that their faith had grown and that they were able to experience many more successes because they believed, because they recognized that as long as their mindset changed and they stopped thinking how bad it could be all the time and started to think, you know what, it can also be very good, then they gave themselves much more of a chance to experience something powerful and something positive. So yeah, that was the thing, man. When that person told me I helped them to improve their faith, it's like, wow, okay.
Wow. So last question I want to ask you, man, and I want to put that out there. More than in 2020, based off the Center of Disease, you can go to CDC, 12.2 million people, adults, seriously contemplate suicide. 1.2 million adults attempted suicide. What would you say to someone that's out there watching you that may be curious about getting mental health therapy? Why should they reach out to you or another therapist?
Sometimes we find ourselves in situations that can be so overwhelming, and our previous beliefs keep us stuck and make it difficult for us to feel like it is going to be beneficial or helpful to reach out to someone. I would say this to those individuals that are struggling. Everything that you've tried to this point was you saying that you're not giving up. You continue to try to think of ways to get out of this funk that you're in. Don't give up just because you don't necessarily have the answer. Reach out to someone else that could possibly help you to dig a little bit deeper and come up with solutions that could possibly lead you to, being able to figure out why you're stuck and why you're in this space. That'll increase the chances of you being able to defeat that, to defeat what it is that you're going through.
Man, thank you for that. And those that's watching, once again, reach out. You got the National Crisis Hotline. You have so many numbers, and no one is exempt from this, man. There's people 75 years and older that's committing suicide, middle age, gays and lesbians, race, veterans. It don't make no difference who you are. This is affecting everyone. Mr. Smith, man, I want to thank you so much for coming on the platform, man, and sharing that. I want to ask you, how can people reach out to you if they want to consider utilizing your services?
Okay, they can reach out to me by calling my business number at 281-858-2964. I also have a website. It's rsmith-counseling.org.
.org, okay.
Yes, .org.
Okay, .org. Let me fix that for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you so much for, like I said, coming on the platform. Not only that, from serving our country. And as you said, you went to, was it Worthing? Sterling.
Ooh, Sterling. Yeah, come on now. All you Raiders out there that heard that and stuff, I promise you, I told them it was Sterling.
Is Worthing y'all adversary? Opposition?
Worthing wasn't necessarily, they were closer in proximity to us, but they weren't necessarily our, foe. I don't even know if I want to say the name of the team that gave us the most grief. But I'll say it, it was Jack Yates.
I had a feeling it was. I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, it was Jack Yates. I went to high school for 4 years and we beat them Rascals once. And it was a good win. And I'll never forget it because it was in Robertson Stadium at the time. I think they changed the name of Robertson Stadium I'm pretty sure, where University of Houston played.
Right.
Hmm.
I would say that's one thing I admire about Houston, man. Y'all have so much history down here, man. And Yates
Yes.
has a lot of history. I meet so many people from Yates, man. Y'all have a lot of history, as well as the people know that was it Debbie Allen and Felicia Rashad and Roland Martin.
Hmm.
You have a lot of people that have came through Yates,
Hmm.
as well as Sterling. And where did you
Yeah.
grow up at? Because we didn't talk about your actual background. Where are you from? Where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Sunnyside and South Park.
Wow.
Um, you know, I'm not gonna say what people used to call it and stuff because it was my neighborhood. It wasn't the hood. Um, it was an environment that I had a lot of great memories. A lot of great memories. We went to school with some pretty prominent individuals as well. But for the most part, I would say that environment was an experience that showed me what I could do versus what I should do.
Right.
My parents were always preaching to me and my brother about, hey, you will not be a product of your environment. You can be whatever you choose to be. If you want to make it, then that's the mindset that you have to have. And that is, I can do and I can be what I want.
Wow. I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. Mr. Smith, man, thank you so much for taking that time of your busy day to educate the people and come on the Real Men Talk platform. And I want to tell you once again, thank you, and not much more but peace and blessings to you, brother.
Hey, it was my pleasure, man, and peace and blessings to you as well and to all your listeners.
Thank you so much. You all heard it from Mr. Smith with rsmithcounseling.org. If you're interested, reach out to him. If you're not interested in the service, reach out to someone, man. Your emotions, your mindset can be the key to your success. As he stated earlier, man, sometimes it's biases, sometimes it's norms that we're accustomed to that holds us up. To my veterans out there that's watching, man, as he stated, the war is not over, man. When you come back here, it's a whole nother war, and that war is usually dealing with after effects that came from the war, as well as dealing with things within yourself, man. So please, man, seek out help, man. Seek out help. And right now, things have changed. And I'm telling you from experience, from veteran to veteran, the whole industry has changed. I was one of the people that was very hesitant. It took me actually about 2 years before I decided to get some help when I came back from the war. Stuck with it and been going through it with it, and just looking back on the past, man, I was like, wow, yeah, you really did need some help. And sometimes we deal with things in our own way, and we think it's the best way, and sometimes it's not the best way. It may be the best way for that time being, but you can't stay stuck in that circle. You got to keep moving. You got to keep evolving. It's too much to life, man. Too much to life. And I feel you, man. I didn't see some of the things you've seen. I didn't experience some of the things you experienced. But we have to rebuild and just move on, man. It's easier said than done, but it's taking that step. So continue to take that step. And those is watching, man, thank you for tuning into the Real Man Talk, man, where we talk about financial literacy, health and wellness, and mindset. And this is part of the health and wellness and mindset that we're talking about. You may be going through life and making it through life, and you'd be surprised what may be holding you up. Someone told me they just started counseling, I think at 52 years old, and they told me they didn't realize they needed counseling until it started to affect their health. And now that they're in counseling, they said they realized, wow, there's so many things that they've been missing out on life that they didn't have no clue about. And now that they're in counseling, it's helping them just overall with life. And you can be surprised. It could be a couple of things that may just be hindering you. It may be just your environment. You may not realize that you may be in a toxic or a bad environment that's stopping you from evolving. You may be in an environment that's exacerbating things that's already going on with you. This mental health is very serious, man. And because of COVID, it's making it even more challenging. Mental health, man, plays a major factor with your body. Okay. You may be wondering, why come you having these migraines? You might be wondering, why come you can't sleep? You may be wondering, why come your blood pressure's up? Everything is tied to your mental health. So that's why it's very important, man. And even to some of the greatest, man, some of my greatest mentors that I observe and watch, you'd be surprised how many therapists and how many coaches they have. And as Mr. Smith stated, man, there's a lot of resources out there. Sometimes we got to do the research. And some of them may be free. Some of them may not. But you have to make that investment in yourself. And once you start making that investment in yourself, you will start to see the opportunities that will open up for you. You will start to see the better relationships. You will understand the different coping mechanisms that you can utilize. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Real Man Talk, man. And I continue to have an amazing day. And stay tuned for the other episodes we have. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go to the YouTube channel and like and subscribe, and make sure you click that bell so you get the latest notifications. Until then, hey, y'all have an amazing day. I'm out.
Welcome to Houston's Notary, the fastest and most efficient mobile notary service. Houston's Notary pride itself on following up with their customers and making them feel at ease. Houston's Notary has the finest notaries that provides many services such as loan closings, fingerprints, cash outs, affidavits, wills, trust, power of attorneys, employment verification, documents for immigration, and legal documents. Wow! So many services that all you have to do is call. Toll free 1-844-292-5562 or 713-956-6485 or visit houstonsnotary.com. Let us be your notary.
Many people are tired of typical pharmaceutical drugs that have major side effects and causes addictions. The federal government has legalized CBD in all 50 states. CBD binds to the CB pain receptors in your body. The Houston Health and Wellness Company offers many products that can help you immensely. The consumer favorite gummies are delicious edibles that you can take and attain immediate relief. The tincture is a CBD product in liquid form that you place under your tongue that also comes in a variety of flavors. For those aching joints and muscles, Houston CBD has a full-spectrum salve with various all-natural ingredients that will help provide relief. They even have CBD for dogs. Yes, CBD for dogs. Botana oil from Dr. Sebi's Usha Village. It's an all-natural oil from the Botana plant that has been known to help hair grow at a rapid rate. It can be used as a moisturizer for your skin. Best of all, it's all natural. They also have elderberry syrup for your immune system. Go to www.houstonscbd.com. That's Houston with an S, CBD.com.